All right, well, first of all, thank you, everybody, for being here and for listening to me drone on. I appreciate it very much. Okay. So I know that God has a purpose for everything, and I am a living example of that. My life up until I got married was pretty idyllic. My childhood was happy, my family was close, it was my parents, my sister, and me. I thought I knew what a good marriage looked like because of the model my parents presented. They loved each other and were married nearly 61 years before they passed away. They were very happy together, and that's what I wanted. That's what I envisioned for myself. I just assumed that I would meet the man of my dreams, get married, and live the happy life I'd witnessed from my parents. I first met the man who would become my husband when we started working in the same office. And he was 11 years older than me, but nice, polite, and very sweet. Eventually, I moved on to another company. 9 years later, believe it or not, he was hired where I was working once again. We rekindled our friendship, and within a very short period of time, he asked me out. There were 2 weeks between our first date and when he proposed. Then, just a few months after that, we were married. It seems fast, but I was very happy. I loved him very much, and I envisioned a happy life together. Then, on our honeymoon, everything changed. I had never given much thought to my weight. I had never had a weight problem, and so never had to think about it. And so we were out to dinner. I ordered a good meal for dinner, and he gave me a very disapproving look. And he told me I shouldn't be eating like that. I needed to order something else, that I needed to watch my weight so that we could have kids. There was nothing wrong with my weight or my health, but I did what he asked. I had never really thought about or understood emotional or mental abuse. So when it started to happen to me, I didn't even realize that that's what it was. I am a smart person, but I never saw it coming because he knew how to manipulate me. One day, for example, I came home from the store to discover that he was doing a woodworking project on the kitchen table. Missing from the kitchen table was a picture that was very important to me, Winnie the Pooh. I kept it there always. The plank he was working on the table, had knocked it off and broken it into small pieces. He knocked it off and broke it into small pieces. But destroying that sentimental item wasn't enough. When I said something to him, he began to rage at me. He told me that if I didn't want it broken, I should have removed it. And I just couldn't understand. I wasn't even home when it happened. So how could I have even known that he was going to do that project or that I should move the picture? But when I tried to tell him that, it enraged him even more. He grabbed me and began to shake me, yelling in my face, screaming that I was always trying to blame others for my faults. I believed him. Everything was my fault. One day, I got home from work so late that he had already eaten. So I cleaned up the kitchen, dished up my own supper, and sat down to watch a TV show and relax. I had no sooner started eating than my husband jumped up and started yelling at me, telling me that we were, quote, running out of time and that I needed to stop being so lazy. We spent the rest of the night shampooing the furniture. Many nights with him were spent on chores like that. Anything so that he could make sure I wasn't being lazy. In fact, when I was 8 months pregnant with my second son, my husband decided to use the electric broom, but discovered that I had forgotten to clean the lint trap. He was furious. Enraged, he screamed at me and threw the sweeper at me. I ducked, but it broke into pieces on the wall behind me. And then he spent the rest of the day screaming at me and telling me how lazy and useless I was. At the time, I was 8 months into a difficult pregnancy. I had a 2-year-old. I was teaching and finishing the writing of my master's thesis. I did everything in the house, cooking, cleaning, you name it, with no help from anyone. Now, looking back, I can say that it really wasn't that big a deal that I didn't clean the lip trap, but it took me 20 years to be able to realize and say that, because he made me feel so guilty that I spent 20 years berating myself for forgetting to clean the lint trap. I tried to leave several times, but he wouldn't let me out of the house with our sons. And they are my life, and I was not leaving without them. My husband would often tell me that no judge in his right mind would ever give me custody of our sons if I left him. It was terrifying and hopeless because I came to believe him. I couldn't risk losing them. He would tell me that my family, even my family, my tight-knit family that I love so much, was against me. He said that he had spoken to my father, who told him that I needed psychiatric care because, as he told me all the time, I didn't think like a normal person. I was so scared and hurt that my father would say that it never even dawned on me. I never even realized that my father wouldn't say that at all. My husband had conditioned me to just believe what he told me, and never question him. Meanwhile, things kept getting worse. He opened a new bank account in his name only and moved all of our money into it, so I had no access to money. He got a P.O. box and would not give me the key. He isolated me from my friends, cutting off all my supports. I was feeling increasingly trapped and beaten down. So, I contacted Hubbard House, the local domestic abuse shelter. I began to meet in secret with an outreach advocate. She was wonderful, and she helped me to plan my eventual escape. As it turned out, that day came very quickly, much sooner than anticipated. On the 4th of July, 2003, we took our sons to the park. My husband was acting off, so I asked him if everything was okay. It was like a switch flipping on. He began screaming at me right there in the parking lot of the park. The boys were 4 and 7. So I grabbed their hands and said we were leaving. My husband ran after me, grabbed me, dragged me to the car, and threw me inside. He tossed away the keys so I couldn't get to them, and then began raging at me and shaking me and threatening me. My sons were behind him, screaming and crying, and trying to get to me. He turned around and yelled at them to be quiet before turning back to me, and this just continued over and over and over. Finally, he stopped. The rest of the day, I was terrified to say anything in case it set him off again. I knew, though, that we had to get away. His violent outbursts were escalating. We could not wait. At this point, my husband was monitoring what I was doing, so I couldn't speak freely on the phone or just get in the car and go. I had to wait out the weekend until he left for work on Monday, so I could call my Hubbard House outreach advocate. When I did and I told her what happened, she encouraged me to leave, said we needed to get out of the house now. So I did, but I was still so afraid of losing custody of the boys that it was very, very frightening, but I knew that this was what we had to do, so we did. Not only did I keep custody of my boys, but I kept them safe. Hubbard House even helped keep my pets safe. they arranged emergency boarding for them. My advocate helped with navigating how to get my husband out of the home so we could return. Hubbard House was wonderful. Unfortunately, in my case, safety didn't mean true freedom. I had a nasty divorce and aftermath that lasted for more than 10 years because of my husband's continued manipulation. In fact, my attorney said it was the worst divorce he'd handled in his 39 years of practice. Even after the divorce, I went through years of feeling that there was no hope for the future. I was filled with self-doubt and had no self-confidence, all because of the years of abuse I'd endured. But through counseling, I came to recognize that I wasn't the problem. He was. I started to realize that I was no longer living in the darkness that I had thought would surround me forever. There even came a day when I realized, wow, the boys and I actually have a pretty great life, and we still do. It's been very important to me to create something good out of what I endured. And specifically, my family wanted to give back to Hubbard House. So, in 2008, my mother started a group called the Bag Ladies. We meet each month to assemble and deliver 45 comfort bags, and each of the children who enters Hubbard House gets one. Each child gets a drawstring bag with a cheerful design filled with items that I know my boys needed or found comfort in while we were in shelter. Toiletries, a small stuffed animal, a book, a snack, a flashlight. The flashlight idea actually came from my youngest son. We left home in a hurry that day, but he had grabbed his Fisher-Price lantern on the way out, and he kept it on all night so that he wouldn't be scared in a new place. I lost my mom in 2017, but there was no better way to honor her legacy than by making sure the Bag Ladies continued. And we did. We are still going strong, still supporting kids in shelter 16 years after we started. I earned my master's degree in 1999. I love teaching, both at the University of North Florida and at some college prep homeschool program with the most amazing students. And I'm proud to say that I also now volunteer directly with the kids at Hubbard House, working with the teenagers every Thursday night. After seeing the difference those advocates made for my sons, I'm so happy to be able to try to be that positive influence for others. I am so proud of my sons and their strength. They are always there for me, even when I don't ask. They are kind and empathetic and focused on others. I have the best daughter-in-law anyone could ever ask for. I have amazing friends and a church family I love. I have a very full life. Along the way, I also learned some things about myself. I am not defined by what I went through. I am much stronger than I ever gave myself credit for. I still feel like a work in progress. I still struggle to sit still because it feels like I'm being lazy. I find it very hard to compliment myself. But I stand here today and I say I'm smart and strong and compassionate and resourceful. I am happy. I am very happy. My mother always said that the Bag Ladies was an example of making lemonade out of lemons. And that, I feel, is what I have tried to do with my life. I was given a really large glass of really sour lemonade and told to drink it or else. But at the bottom of that cup, where I stand here today, things are really sweet. I am a living example that God has a plan for each of us. He may lead us in directions we never intended to go, but we end up where we are meant to be, where He wants us to be. And God uses situations for good. So He truly does make lemonade out of lemons. Out of my situation came the bag ladies, teaching here at PEP, and the life I have today, which is wonderful. Someone I always admired greatly was Mother Teresa. She once said this about what she referred to as the blessing of suffering. Pain and suffering have come into your life, but remember, pain, sorrow, suffering are but the kiss of Jesus, a sign that you have come so close to Him that He can kiss you. Suffering is nothing by itself, but suffering shared with the passion of Christ is a wonderful gift, the most beautiful gift, a token of love. Going through my ordeal showed me how very true this is, because in my darkest moments, I turned to God. That wasn't unusual. I always did that. But during these years, I learned to turn everything over to God. I knew He was in control, so I needed to live that, to actually give Him the reins and put my full trust in Him, to trust Him completely. Again, not that I didn't before, but there had always been that little part of me, that little freak part, that wanted to maintain some sort of control over the situation, but no more. And in putting my complete trust in and reliance on God, I became closer to Him than ever before, and was reminded that I am not alone in my suffering. God is with me, with us, always. God is truly good, and my life exemplifies this. I am truly blessed. And I indulged myself. I thought, you guys know a lot about me, so, and I probably could have made this so long. So I'm going to bore you with examples of my happy life.
Aww.
So this was about a year after I left. And these are just us through the years at our church. That's my daughter-in-law, Lexi, my other son, Douglas. That's in Ireland doing the right. I had to include Barbie, right?
Maybe. Hey!
You made the slideshow or something.
You're going too fast.
Hey, wait, go back to that one really
enjoy
quick.
these.
Daughters of the King is an organization in my church. We're kind of like lay nuns. And so we have a chapter at my church, the St. Teresa Calcutta chapter. I'm the president. And so here, one thing we have done is serve refreshments after the service, and here we're taking corporate communion together.
Nice.
It's my book club. Just a tiny fraction of places we've been.
Metallica.
Yeah, don't skip past that last one now. Hold on.
Okay, the day after, that was in 2017. The day after we were in Orlando watching Metallica, we were in Baltimore at a Star Trek convention.
You are a woman of many interests.
I had to include that. Yeah,
I was like, where's the Tom Hiddleston picture?
would I leave him out?
There we go.
It's a Karate Kid.
Our family photo, as Robert calls
Nice arcade. There they are. Oh.
And I have a video on the bag ladies, if I could show that.
Yes, please.
So this was made, I think 12 years ago, so kind of old, but still very accurate. Everything on it is what we still do. I think there's a plate. Oh yeah, well darn it.
Wait.
Leave it.
Now I'm gonna wait.
Wait, no. Let's stay.
Wait.
It was like right when we turned it last time.
Let me just play it on the computer.
Every year, 4 million women are victims of abuse. Most of these women have one or more children who see and most likely experience this abuse. When gathered the courage, they will escape these abusive situations and tend to find themselves in shelter homes. But sometimes shelter homes have difficulty assisting most of these families with the basic needs in order for them to sustain a healthy living experience, leaving women and their children stuck between a rock and a hard place. This is why the Bag Ladies were created. Since 2008, the Bag Ladies of LPC have sewn, filled, and delivered hundreds of welcome bags to shelter homes, mainly the Hubbard House. These bags contain comfort items for the men, women, and children who are staying at these shelter homes. So who are the people behind the bags?
We're the pedal pushers. We sew drawstring bags like these. We get 2 bags out of every yard of colorful fabric.
Next, the Bobcat Brigade pulls the prints through the casings in the bag so they will close like this.
I'm one of the Snippy sisters, and I have double layers of fringe around the fleece pillows. Then we naughty ladies together like this.
Next, the super
No, wait, no,
stuffers
wait.
fill the pillows with
She came
fiber
with
fill
yes.
to make them soft and cuddly.
Yes.
Finally, the loading dockers put one of each of these items into every single welcome bag.
Our toiletries trio adds donated soaps and lotions to these baggies, along with comb, toothbrush, toothpaste, and shampoo.
I'm Flash Cameron, and I put batteries in these little flashlights to shine in a dark night.
I'm known as the librarian. Every month for our 45 bags, I choose 45 books to go inside. I guess I sort of gravitated to this area because of my teaching experience. And so I actually, if I'm not familiar with the books, I actually stand and read them to make sure that they're okay and appropriate to send down to these children who are fleeing from abusive situations.
My husband Bruce has a special mission. He delivers these bags to the shelter every month.
You can reach out to little kids in your community too. Please consider starting your own Bag Lady outreach mission.
If you would like to know and make a difference in your community by starting a Bag Lady.
So we started. Bag Ladies started in February 2008, our first meeting. Since from then to today, we've only missed 1 month, and that was the month COVID. Well, it was April of 2020, because we had, I think, met the weekend before in March, and then COVID hit. We missed April, and then we figured out how to make it work, and 4 of us met in the garage of one of our members with masks and put the bags together and delivered them. So.
Mrs. Manzone, the students took up a collection. This is for Bag Ladies.
Oh.
They all contributed toward your
That is
cause.
so sweet. Thank you.
That's all student money.
Oh, that means so much. I love you guys. So I will give this to them. I appreciate that. Well, I'll bring it. Oh yeah, I'm the leader. I'll get it to the treasurer. So thank you so much. We appreciate that very much. It's a we think it is a worthy
Cause.
In fact, I will say, during those early months of COVID, we were the only outside group they were letting in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the bags, I know the bags are very important down there to them. So So anyway, does anyone have any questions? All right, well, thank you for listening.
What a great